Welcome from down under. Special welcome to intrepid viewers as always. And for newcomers, I hope you join the clan. So today I'm reading on whether or not the Dems are going to go ahead and hold all these ghastly people in contempt of Congress. Just go for the lot of them. You know, I so hope so. Oh, and miraculously, the Mexican tariffs did not go ahead. If you remember my last reading, the very first card was people saying no to Trump. And I thought, just as an observer, oh, look, he'll go ahead and do it anyway because he's a Yeti in a china shop. You know, he just keeps doing this stuff. But they actually said no. Right. So that is a small crack. But in the meantime, I can reliably inform you, viewers, Trump, after his trip abroad, is genuinely exhausted. He's nudging 73, and it's a full-time job. You know, he has executive time in the morning. He's got to come up with inane nicknames for his opposition. It's tiring, destroying the domestic economy as well as every long-standing international alliance. So I think he's a bit tired. However, as more and more people thwart him, he's going to get madder and badder. So just be prepared. In the meantime, I want to focus on the Dems. And we're talking here about BARR, McGAHN, MNUCHIN, and Wilbur Ross, Commerce Secretary. The man is a cartoon. You could pay him $1 million to stay awake in a meeting, and you know what? You wouldn't lose a cent. He hasn't been awake for 20 years, and he's just a tired old right-wing turkey anyway. So because there's 4 of them, I'm going to read collectively and see how that goes. So they've got to start doing stuff, and it has to start this week with a vote on these guys. So, will the Dems go forward and start legal proceedings against the enablers? Okay. So, the Yeti's henchmen. Will the Dems actually take action? Will the Dems take action? Oh, what fell out? Oh, the Wheel of Fortune. Something's destined. Okay, here we go. Out of the pack flew the Wheel of Fortune. Normally a good card, good fortune. Let's hope it means good fortune for us. Surely it can't mean good fortune for them. The 4 of them could not escape this. Surely, surely, surely. So, it is also the card of karma and destiny. All right. So we're putting that in here. I'm going to do a slightly different layout here. So, what is the Dems' position on this? Will they go ahead, essentially, and do this? A pact being made. Page of Swords, I'm pleased to see that. What is happening here? Okay, the mercenaries and the greedy king in retreat. All right. So they are making a pact, the Dems. I read this as a pact with the American people. They've finally come to a decision. There's been enormous amount of argy-bargy behind the scenes. If you're a new viewer, argy-bargy is an Australian term. I can't imagine what Google Translate does with some of these slang terms. but sufficient to say there's been huge discussions, but they've actually come to an agreement. What's that agreement about? Action, Page of Swords. This is the youthful energy prevailing with the Page of Swords. So symbolically, I think this was the ones who want to see truth and justice done have actually prevailed despite the storm clouds. This is youthful energy. The sword goes off out of the frame of the card. Unfinished business, but the sword is raised. Who is it impacting? The smug merchants. This card, it's a funny card. For those of you learning tarot, I describe it as a transition card. It transitions between suits. It's cups, which are, bountiful, emotional energy and so forth. But because this is a merchant figure, it crosses over into a Pentacles card. So this is talking about these guys who have got away with a lot. They've got great riches as well as emotional satisfaction from living the lives they have. But the other thing to notice about this figure is, on the one hand, his arms are crossed, and on the other hand, the knees are open. So there's an open and closed duality about this card. So they cross their arms, they refuse to give up the paperwork. So I'll be doing clarifiers on those. Now, what's the story? What are they going to be charged with in terms of the legal stuff? They've been mercenaries. Mercenaries being, I'm not suggesting they've actually been paid to support Trump, but they're mercenaries in the sense they're soulless, selfish, and amoral, and just like a mercenary who'll do anything for anybody for hire. This is the behaviour that has led them to this situation. And they did it in the service of the King of Pentacles, the greedy king, who, despite having real estate, jewels, money, riches, castles, never enough, never enough. I think they're having second thoughts now. The Hermit card, they are having second thoughts now. See, part of the problem, I think, the first digression, viewers, these people live in their own circles and their own echo chambers, and they're so used to, excuse me, I'm just getting over a bad cold. They are so used to mixing with people who think as they do. Now, that's a social norm in their world. It is normal to rip people off. It's normal to exaggerate your wealth. It's normal to actually crush people with less money than you if you can make some more money. All this stuff is normal. And so they haven't had any moral checks and balances. And this is part of the problem with the whole GOP. So now I'm going to use my new fantastic Russian cards to do clarifiers on this first row. So I want to clarify on the deal that's been made between the Dems themselves, on the action they're going to take, the Page of Swords, and on the slimy, self-serving merchant. So let's have a look what the cards bring up here in relation to these three cards. Okay. Now, the deal. Three of Swords. This is a heartbreak card, distress and heartbreak. I think you don't have to be psychic to realise how frustrated the Dems are. And by that, I also mean you guys out there, the viewers. The frustration of having to live under the Yeti, and then the Dems getting in, and then 6 months ago, nothing's happening. It's this stalling. The Dems have been quite distressed, and the old guard, even though you've got to admire, Pelosi and the others for the years of service they've put in and stuff, it's the youthful energy that has prevailed. And they've said, this is what won the argument, I think. I hope I'm right on this. You're upset, but you know what? We're angry. All right, so they're converting the pain and distress into anger. So what further actions? Yep, 10 of Pentacles. The meeting. This is them meeting together, making a decision. Pentacles is about money, but also about dynasties, or dynasties, as you guys say. So I think part of the argument and part of the worry of the older conservative Dems is, oh, what will the donors think? What will the donors think? The young ones, and by young's probably misleading. I'm not just talking about the AOCs. I'm talking about the Elizabeth Warrens and others who are more radical, are saying, who cares what they think? Who cares? This is the fight that has to be fought. And that reminds me, I need to speak on Elizabeth Warren. So, now, looking at the smug merchants, what's their clarifier? The Six of Wands, they're in trouble. The Six of Wands, they are in trouble. Now, I'm sorry about the lighting on this, guys. I just don't have a choice where I get to sit and the time of day I get to make these readings. So hopefully it looks better than it does to me on the screen. They would like to be getting out of town. See, there's a figure on the side watching those get out of town. And I'm getting a vibe here, a psychic sort of vibe. This is the beginning of more and more leaving, meaning leaving Trump or resigning their positions, getting out of Dodge. That's what this is about. Okay, so I'm going to take that as, yeah, surely to God they're going to go ahead with this. Because really, it is too much. It is simply too much to expect the public to wait any longer. They have to get their act together. Now, lots of news and developments. Elizabeth Warren, bless her. I'm going to do a reading on her very soon. She is gathering momentum. I love that. Good on her. She's a tough cookie. She's been around the block. And America needs radical reinvention. America does not need tinkering around the middle anymore. So, that's Elizabeth Warren. The other thing, all this stuff this week that's come up about George Nader. And I was thinking, oh, George Nader. I'm sure I read on him. So I actually trawled back through ancient videos, and over a year ago, I did a reading on Nader. And I did one of those, so intrepid viewers who have been around for a while will recognise I occasionally do these little pieces of paper connecting the dots literally with felt tip pen on how Nader connects with certain oligarchs and Kushner. So I'm going to put that link up. It was video 59. We're on 309 or something. That's how long ago I read on George Nader and said, look out for this guy. Okay, this is what happens with tarot. The timelines are hard to get, but it gets there in the end. I also did another video with a diagram that I think you'll find quite fascinating. That was the one of Mueller looking for Red October, and that's worth looking at too. So I'm going to put both those links up, seeing how they stand up over the test of time. So here we are, just reporting in from Australia. Since our election a few weeks ago, What's happened? Well, our politicians have given themselves a pay rise of nearly $5,000 a year. While everyone else is struggling, they give themselves a pay rise. The cheek of them, the hide of them. Are they not despicable? We are now, full steam ahead, going to build the biggest coal mine in the world. The vision, people, the vision. In this time of climate crisis, why wouldn't you dig the biggest hole in the ground? And it doesn't stop with the hole in the ground that affects the artesian water basin. All the runoff from the mine in Queensland is going to go straight to the barrier reef and kill it. So this is what we're dealing with all over the world, this destructive, manic energy. So you've got to look at it as still, I see it from above. It's an end game. It's peak capitalism. They're going to milk things to the absolute max until it's untenable. So gradually, or not so gradually, people are beginning to realise, oh, you know what? We can't keep going in this way. We're going to have to wake up, stand up, and change things. Australia, this is winter. You can hardly see me because of the sun. Why isn't there solar panels on every roof of every house, hospital and school in Australia? No. Coal mines. So you're not alone, America. You're not alone. So go out and buy a beret. And remember, be part of the solution, not part of the problem. And my biggest message to you all is, please don't let this burn you out. There is a better, brighter day. If you're feeling burnt out, take time out. Look after yourselves, look after each other, and find a way to contribute to the change. I love you guys. Speak to you soon. The comments have been fantastic. Love. I'm bathing you in golden light. Bye for now.